Okay, hello everybody, and greetings from New York. And I've just figured out a protocol for doing GIS in R that I want to share with you. So let's get to it. I put this up in our modules. So there's some code that I worked out, and it's here in data for R mapping called Code for Basic Mapping of CSV data in R. And so you'll be able to grab that. And what I'm going to request you do is download RStudio. And when you have RStudio downloaded, then we're going to start a project. So this is my old project. So let me make a new project. And let's go in an existing directory. And let's put it in. I have mine in, let's see where I'm putting this in. GIS presentation, GIS for climate, and then I'm going to put it in RStudio, and I'm going to then create a project, and I want to close this and close this. All right, so this is what you should get when you open up R for the first time. You have a console, and you have an environment, history, connections, and tutorial, and you've got files, plots, packages, help, viewer, presentation. All right. What I'm going to do as my first step on this is I'm going to go and create the plus button, or with this, a new R script. And when you do that, that's at this bottom here. You can also click on this plus. R script will then give you another window here for scripting. All right, so let's go to the script that I've created to just show you what you're going to do. So here it is, or actually if we look at the version I've given you. So the first thing you have to do is always install required packages if they're not already installed. And let's grab this part of the code just here, pull that out, and go to RStudio and put that in. And if you haven't already worked with R, you're going to have to install those packages. And to do that, you'll need to get rid of the comment. That little number sign is a comment. And when it's commented, it doesn't get read, or it doesn't get run, the code. When it's commented like that, then it doesn't get read. So I uncomment it so that it will be read. And then if I select these two lines, which are going to install certain required packages, notice that that isn't a piece of code. That just says install required packages. So that needs to be commented. That's just a comment telling us install the required packages if they're not already installed. And yours probably won't have any packages installed. Packages are like the add-ons in Blender and like the plugins in QGIS. So they're always the same concept. It starts lean with these open source programs to save you a lot of memory, unlike ArcGIS. So you'll have to install them. So when I run this piece of code by clicking next to it or highlighting it, and I say run, then it's going to start to install the packages. Now I've already got them installed, but it doesn't hurt to update them this way, just like it doesn't hurt to update the add-ons in Blender or the or the plugins in QGIS. So it's telling me they're there, and you'll know they're there if you look at your packages and you search for them. Leaflet should show up. There it is. So I'm going to click that. That is the same as loading the library. And the other one I was looking for SF. Let's make sure SF is in there. And it's called Simple Features. I could turn it on. And the other one is Read R, which lets me read from a CSV file. Now I'm not going to check those because there's another way to check them in the program, and that's to put the checking in the code by adding the code library. I'll show you what that looks like. So, well, first I want to clear the environment to clear any data. It's just a piece of code that you put in to lighten up your load if you've been using your computer for a while. So let me come in and just add remove or clear environment. It's like resetting everything. Not necessary to put in, but fun to have. So there's that. Now the next piece of code we're going to use is loading the required libraries. So we've got the packages, but they're not turned on. Remember in Blender, the add-ons need to be checked to turn them on. You remember same thing in QGIS with various plugins. So this is the code that tells you to turn them on or check them. And when I'm here and I put that in, saying library leaflet or saying library SF or library reader checks them in here. And let's see if that actually works. So if I go to SF, you'll see that it's unchecked here, but if I run this, then all of nothing happened. Yes, okay, it checked. So the same thing with reader. If I go and look at reader, there it's unchecked, but if I run the library command, it'll be as if I checked that box. Watch and see. So bingo, it's checked. Right? That means that that's loaded in. And there's a lot of ways to get packages. You can go to install and you can search for different packages from CRAN if you know the names of them. I think there's one called Tidyverse. And if you do Tidyverse, that comes up and you can get that. That's got a lot of other plotting functions. That's way that you install it. Much as in Blender, you have to go and get your extensions, get your add-ons, and much as in QGIS, there are plugin repositories that you go to. It's a similar concept. That's under packages over here. All right. We're going to be working with the viewer, so you can turn that on. The next thing we're going to do to be able to work with maps, I'll get back into this stuff in a second. Let's start very simply. We want to have a base map, right? And the piece of base map that we want is to, we've started leaflet, and we're not going to do the CSV yet. What we're going to do is we're going to grab provider tiles. So right here, find the leaflet map with base layers and circle markers. So even that isn't really necessary yet. Let's go here and add Google Satellite. We're going to add provider tiles. And we'll do this. And we also, I'm going to do, this is the finished thing. Let's go back to our tutorial because I've written this up for you here. And let's go to that part of our document where it's done in excruciating detail. All righty, so this is better. Yes. So we're mapping with R, and so the first part was to create a generic satellite map of the world and add these providers from Esri World Imagery to create a satellite base map and to give it bounds that give the entire world and then display the map. So copy this, because we've already installed the package and we've loaded the library leaflet. Go to create a generic satellite map of the world, copy that, come into your code, paste it in, and now when you run this part, because you've already loaded these libraries, we'll go like this and we'll hit run, and boom, we have the world map, just as we did in QGIS. That's fun. You can zoom in on it, you can move around in it. We're going to be focusing on Morocco, and this is an Esri satellite map. And you might recall from our QGIS work that when you get to a certain point, Esri generally stops zooming, but it's a pretty good map. So you can get a pretty lot of detail there. So that's fun, but that does not tell us where Morocco is. You'd have to know where Morocco is, and we do. But what if I said, well, we want to zoom in on the High Atlas Foundation office in Marrakesh? Where the heck is Marrakesh? And remember, we were using latitude and longitude coordinates in QGIS first before we got into geocoding. So it's logical that we do the same thing in this code, because this is sort of like under the hood for any data display program. R is a under the hood coding kind of thing, but it's kind of fun and much more useful in many ways than using something, because once you know what code you put in, you have much more flexibility. You don't have to deal with all these different windows and stuff. you just get the logic of the code. So one student who's been working in ArcGIS, getting his degree at USF, told me in the 3D Axis lab the other day that he much prefers R for doing his mapping now, and will not return unless forced to ArcGIS. And he said QGIS is also too confusing for him now that he knows R. So he's much happier with R. All right, so let's find a way to zoom in from our world map. And what that means is we're going to comment out the fit bounds, because that's not what we need right now. And we're going to grab a different piece of code, and that code is going to be not a generic satellite map of the world, but it's going to be set view. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to grab this set view and put that on the map. And you're wondering, where does the latitude and longitude come? LNG equals -8 and latitude is 31. Well, to do that, let's just do it like this. Let's go to here, go to any part of the world that we want. And I would go to the High Atlas Foundation in Morocco. And there it is, right? That's the building there. And I want to get that latitude and longitude, just like we did for QGIS. So I'm going to right-click on it, copy that to the clipboard, and come in here, and for a moment, I'm just going to paste it in. But notice that it's backwards, because QGIS and R and ArcGIS display it with the longitude first. So what I'm going to do is take that and move it back here, comma, and now we're going to do the set view set view thing. So when you type in set, you'll see set view comes up, and then it gives you brackets, and these are going to go in the brackets. So let's put that in there. And then let's make sure that we get the code right. So let me look over here in our book, and it would say set view longitude equals latitude equals, and it gives a zoom thing. So LNG equals and common and lat equals, and then a zoom, decide how deep you want to zoom in. So set view, and then say LNG for longitude equals, oops, and it'll come up as well. When you type in LNG, you get LNG, and then comma lat equals in set view, and then we want to have a zoom. It says zoom equals, and let's try about 16. You can always change that. And now watch what happens when we save this. Oh, I haven't created a file for it. Let's put this and call this YouTube tutorial code for basic mapping. Right. Great. So now let's see what happens when we run the code from mleaflet and hit run. And boom, it zooms right in at a level of 16. Let's see what happens when we do 18. For the zoom, let's rerun it. Displaying the map. Right on the actual house. Depending on how the precision, if we go all the way to 20, this is similar to what we get with Blender GIS zooms as well. You'll see all these programs are fairly similar. Oh, I'm going to go set view. Let's just run that line. It did nothing because I need to rerun the whole M thing. Let's rerun it. And that's, I guess, as tight as the S3 will go. S3 will not go below, it looks like 18. If you go to 5, you're going to see, you're going to see pretty much the entire world. So, or rather, Morocco, part of the world. If you go up to 10, and we should be twice as zoomed in. Yeah, and if you kept on zooming, you'd get all the way into Morocco, to Marrakesh. But if you got lost, you could always go up to, say, 14 and zoom in, and now we're right near where the office is, which is down here. All right, so that's great. That's wonderful to have. This implies then that you could be setting a lot of different views and commenting them out. So if, for example, I go back to my Google Map and I say, hey, I want to see where the UM6P University is in Ben Gurir, then it's there. That's the campus over there, way up north of Marrakesh. Marrakesh is down here. University is up here. So if I wanted to grab that, I would say, let's go to the solar building right there with all the solar panels. And let's copy that to the clipboard and go back to our code. And make sure that I'm recording properly. Yes, I am. Okay. Go back to our code and let's do that same thing down here. Let's paste it in. This time, I'll just grab this set view, come in and put in a new set view, but I'm going to drop in this piece for the longitude. And then I'm going to drop this piece for the latitude. I'll make the zoom 15, I think, for this one. Get rid of this comma because it doesn't belong. It gave us a little X telling us it was wrong. And then when I rerun this, all right, when I rerun this out of Marrakesh or the High Atlas Mountains, you're going to see that, boom, we're at solar roof there, all right, of UM6P. And so obviously you can do this over and over and over again for different places. And I've shown that in here. And I've given myself code that where did I do that? I guess I just did it in my own code. So I went in and I'll show you this. Excuse me. Let me save this, by the way. I have my own projects, and so if I do a recent file and I go to the basic satellite code, you will see, or no, that's the one that's the finished one. So I did replace that. So I just did a bunch of them. I mean, I came in here and here's how you would do it. You can just keep commenting these out and set your views to whatever other places on the map you want to do. So I suggest that you have fun with this and get other locations. So for example, if I want to go to University in Tangier, so there's a lot of universities by the ocean at Tangier. In Fahed. I'm trying to think of the one that we're working with one of our students on. And I just have to Institute Genomic Sciences, but it wasn't there. One of the really great ones. I actually have it in one of my maps, but Fab Lab, Green Lab, Tangier. That's pretty cool. So let's just go to the Fab Lab. That would be fun to have in here. And so if we go here, and once again, you would come in here and paste that and grab it and replace the longitude. And you would want to comment these things out, say like Fab Lab, Tangier, and this was going to be comment Ben-Gurir UM6P, and then this was High Atlas Mountains. So HAF office, Marrakesh. Now once again I need to get rid of this comma, which is indicated here when this is an unexpected token. So goodbye that. And I want to save this. And now when I do my set view, it's going to take me from here up to the north. And there we are, right on the north coast. All right. So have some fun with that, because that way you can just keep setting different zooms and just keep trying to get back to the fit bounds to get the whole Earth and run that. Oops, didn't grab all of it. I have to get the whole map. And of course, you have the ability, because this is the whole world. I mean, you could take a set view and if you knew the coordinates of USF Tampa, you'd put them in. You can tell college it's right there. It's just as we did originally with QGIS. Grab this and bring it in, and you'll have these stored in your code, which is what's really nice to have. So let me paste that in, and 28, so the longitude on this is there, and the latitude is there. And let's go to a zoom of 18, 185, ridiculous. Right. And get rid of that comma. And then, bang, tell college. So, I mean, we have the entire world in our hands here, which is fun, right? Just by doing that. All right, so much for that. And then let's go back to HAF office. That's where I really want to focus my energy. And what happened here? Oh, I didn't display. I'm going to make sure you select everything you want to display. There we go. So we're back in Marrakesh. All right, let's save that. And now, what's the next thing we want to do? So we've done that, and we have a lot of flexibility working on the world. Let's add an OpenStreetMap, because we have that ability as well for a provider. So we'll grab this from here and come back into our code, and we will add a provider under here. And now it's not going to add both of them, so we have to make a decision, because if we do this, it'll get confused. It doesn't know. Oh, I didn't display the map. Let's make sure that it's going to get confused. It's going to do one of them, but not the other. So, or maybe it did do both, because if you click back here, yeah, you get that. So these are the history of the different maps that you had when you click back and forth. But nonetheless, if I'd start from scratch, like if I erase all of this, and I erase, using this broom, everything that I've seen here in the console, and then I run this again, first of all, yeah, all it gives me is one of the maps, which is the lowest one in the stack. So if you'd wanted to do the other one, then you'd have to go in like this, and then add this again. And in fact, so there it is there. And then you can go back and see your previous map. See, but you do have the ability to load different providers. The question is, what if you wanted to use a Google hybrid map like we did? Remember when we were using Quick Map Services, We had lots of different options. We had Esri, we had OpenStreetMap. It's a little more complicated to use Google because they don't give them open source anymore. So one other map we should do before we get to that is another open source map with labeled streets, and that's called CartODB Voyager. And if we add that map in so that we have more maps available to us, we can paste it in, we can comment out that one, rerun everything, and there's that map, which has got its own sort of distinct look to it, but sort of like OpenStreetMap. All right, but we want to do Google, so let's comment that out and let's find a way to do Google. To do Google Maps, you have to have an API key, and that means you've got to go to your Google console in Google Cloud. So if you are in, if you're just looking, let me close this down. If you're in your Google thing and you say Google Cloud, and you're in your Google account, then when you go to Google Cloud, you go to your console, and in your console you have APIs and services, and then you should have some credentials. If you don't, you need to make some credentials. So I have some credentials. I can say show key, and I can get my key there. So get your key, and then what you have to do is you got to insert your key. And what you have is this piece of code here. That's the next thing we're going to put in. And so let's go to, before we set the view, right. So let's put in and replace your Google API with your actual key. So I'm going to put my key in there, in between those quotes. Oh, that worked. What happened? Google API key. Didn't do anything. Okay, wait a minute. Let me go forward in here. You do that. You've got to set your Google API key. And then, yes, all right. I'm going to take the set Google API key and I'm going to move it up underneath the library. All right. And then I'm going to have that comment there so we remember that comment is what we want. And then I don't need this part here. We just need the add tiles because we've already got the M up there. So we want this add tiles thing. This layers equals YX is not for the, it's Y is for hybrid. Yes, Y is for hybrid. And I'll show you that in here. We know that this Y here stands for Google Hybrid. The S in this piece of code stands for Google Satellite with no labels. And the P in this piece of code is Google Terrain Topographic View, where the P is for topographic. And that's how we're going to use that. And so when we come back in here, we're using the hybrid with the Y, and we've defined Google API key, defined as, that's what this part here means. This means defined as. So we've set a variable called Google API key that we can use over and over, defined as your Google API key, which you need to get from your cloud API services. So here is one of my keys. I should have then selected it. I hope this is going to work. And I'm going to replace it in here. Yeah, there it is. All right, so I have that there. And then if I run this, because I've commented out everything else, this thing here is what I'm running. Let me get rid of this empty space here. And also let me move this bounds thing, the whole world. I want to keep that on top because that's where it came in. All right, then I have the ad provider for the open source material, and then I have add tiles that calls my Google API key there. All right, so having that, if I now rerun the whole code, it is asking for updating a file. I don't know why, but I'll say yes. Hit restart. It's using this reader thing, backing up my session. It's got leaflet installed and unpacked. SF is unpacked and installed, and so is reader. So supposedly, oh, I know what it's doing. Excuse me, this is silly. I still have the install package thing that uncommented from when we first started. So let me comment that out so that we don't need that. And now it's going to clear the environment when I do it again. It was just constantly looking for those packages, which is not what we wanted to do. And then it says an unexpected invalid token in here. And why is that? So, we're missing something in here in the code. Let's go look. Let's go look. So, replace your key. Now that's correct. Maybe I used the wrong key. Let me try this key here. Let's see if that works. If that in fact is the same key. No, it's not. Oops. Got to make sure you have the right key going in, and then it says unexpected token. What does that mean? Unexpected token. So it's something is wrong here. Unexpected invalid token. Looks like I typed in something wrong here. It needs this kind of quote, and then this kind of quote. So something was wrong with the quotes. Maybe this will work. Yeah, errors are gone now. Yeah, sometimes in code your keys are there. There we go. So now we have the Google hybrid, which is good. The Google hybrid's there. There's the High Atlas Foundation pulling right in from the Google hybrid, which is great. If we wanted to provide a non-Google hybrid, we would take the we could take the URL template all the way, and let me move this because this is, okay. You can take this and copy it, paste it in, comment, not that. Take this, copy it, come down here, paste it in again, comment this out, and this time change this layer to S for satellite, and we should be able to run it again. And now you can see the street names are removed because we have the satellite. Similarly, if we take this and paste it in again, but change the layers from hybrid by or satellite S to P for topographic, and comment this out. Now, when we run the whole thing again, we get the Google topographic. So this is this whole procedure of simply commenting things out and commenting things in that you want to run, and then we can get our Google Maps in there. Oh yeah, I didn't run the whole thing. Okay. run it again. And that'll be true for any place that we comment out. So if I want to go to Ben Guerir, I would comment this, and then I would uncomment. Well, let's go to PCGS. What the heck? So go to PCGS with the same thing, and then select all and run, and bang, we're at PCGS. If I want to see it as a, forgetting Google, if I want to do it with a with an S3 map, I just uncomment this and run it. Oh, that's not S3. That's weird. Tell, but it's S3 World Imaging. I thought that's what we were getting. Oh, so no. Let's try this one here. Comment this back out to be because we still have this one. Set view. No, that's what we want. That's the Patel. But in terms of add tiles, Lord only knows. Let's try it again. That one is OpenStreetMap. Good. This one should be S3. Yeah, it went and then it disappeared. So for some reason, these are all commented. Here's where I might get rid of everything. Get rid of everything here and rerun. And it just keeps, it does it and then it leaves. And I don't really know why it's doing that. That's fairly bizarre. What if we go to the Fab Lab in Tangier? Engine and Fiction. It's there, but then it disappears. Weird. It is very weird. Let's see what happens if I comment out the Google API key. And now go to the S3 imagery. Try it again. It comes and it goes. It's like it's there and then it gets covered up. And I don't know why it's doing that, but it is doing that. One never knows. But if we go and comment out our satellite, and I should be putting in here, you should put in a comment that says that this one with the Y is hybrid Google, and this one with the S over here is satellite Google, and then this one here with the P is topographic. All right. And I'll comment out the satellite, I'll uncomment the satellite and run everything. And oh yeah, and I need to turn on the API key. There we go. All right, so that's sort of fun. Gives us this ability to work with different maps, just like we did with Quick Map Services. So the next thing that we're going to do is we want to be able to bring in our data. And to bring in the data, oh yeah, look at that. I have a lot of these different things. I've got Argan, Eureka, and Akish. Let's put those in. Might as well have fun with those, showing that you can put in as much stuff as you want to into the code in your set view. So put in, this was Patel College, Tampa, and then underneath that you can put in Argan, Eureka. So if I comment this out, if I want to go to the Akish Cemetery where we're doing our 3D modeling, I can do that and then run it. And there it is. There's the Akish Cemetery. So good fun with that. Now we get into putting in our data points. So to put our data points in, what we're going to do is define a file path. And that's for the CSV, or the comma-separated values. I have mine in my G drive. So when I come in here, I go up to the very top of my header, and I put in define the file paths. Just note that when they come in backwards with a backslash, and it needs to be forward slash. And what I mean to say by that is, here is my folder that has my spreadsheets, and there's my HAF project sites. And when I right-click on it and I say copy as path, if I come in here and I put it in, notice that these are all backslashes, and it will not be read. It just can't. So you've got to come in and you've got to change every backslash to a forward slash. So you come in like that, move each one of them and replace it with a forward slash to get your file path in. Otherwise it will not work. And that's what I did here. So I'm going to take this out. I don't need this anymore. And it has to be in quotes. Okay. So this path here is what I copied and pasted when I did copy as path from here. And it takes the path. That's the first thing I need. So I need to tell it where my CSV file is. Otherwise it's not going to know. And then, having done that, I have to have a plugin or a package called Reader. Now that does come in a larger package called Tidyverse, but Tidyverse is a big package with many sub-packages like ggplot and dplyr, which we're not going to use in this script, but would be used for other GIS work when you're working with R. It is better to keep everything lightweight. That's what we've always said about QGIS and Blender. Keep things lightweight for performance and only load what you need to later on. If we're doing bigger stuff, then we might need Tidyverse with its tighter ggplot, but we just need Reader, one of the sub-packages. So if we go to our code, I've already installed that package Reader, and I called it in the library. These are the three that you need for this exercise: Leaflet, SF, and Reader. So we don't need Tidyverse, and since Reader is already installed, we're okay, we're good to go. And what we're going to do after we've loaded it, we're going to tell it to read the HAF site data. We've given it the path, right? We're going to tell it to read that data, and if it exists, then we're going to read it, and then we're going to print the column names so we know what we've used for latitude and longitude, what we used for the villages. And then we have to convert to an SF object, which is simple features for GIS. And so we declare a variable sites, which is going to be defined as the HAF sites, which is one of our columns in the data. And I can show you that by going to this first part. Let's just take that part and let's go into R. And let me bring this up underneath the data path before we start making maps. I'm going to put that in, and I'm just going to read this. So I'm going to go and do all of this, the path, and then the printing, and see if it does anything. And the reason it doesn't is because it hasn't been transformed into SF. So let me get rid of that. Let's go back in again, and let's go a little higher up. We needed to read it, convert, and then set the coordinates. Let's try that. I might have made an error. So let me take it from the top down to check the column names and see if that helps. It does not. Let's take it down a little farther. Let's run. And it didn't give me the column names. Oh, that is interesting, because it's supposed to give me the column names. if the file exists. We know it does exist. Should exist. CSV path. And reader should be installed. Nope. Can't say why. It doesn't show me those, but it didn't give me the error. Let's just continue with it and see. Or let me actually ask. I'm going to ask ChatGPT, which you should always do when you get stuck. Hey Ally, when running this code, why does it not print column names as code suggests? Let's see what it says. Run only this part of the script inside the console. Copy this. And this is a common troubleshooting thing. You go down to the console itself down here, because we're in the console, not the terminal, console. And we just run suggestions like that and see what it does. Error unexpected. Oops, that was just me making a mistake. Let's try this. There we go. Okay, so it did run. So to force it, what it's saying is some statements don't appear because they're inside the conditional if statement. So it did work. So add this. Let's see if I add that to code. Let's see. Let's see if I add that in there. Let me try this. Nothing. Go to here and run. Nothing. Okay. Let's try this. And let me come in here and say, if it exists, and let me try that. There we go. I think it did. Yeah. Prove that. I'm going to come out of here and rerun it. Yes. And then it does print them. So this is how you know when you have that printing site in, latitude and longitude are spelled with capital L's, for example, and that the village is spelled village. Those are the different columns we have in that spreadsheet. And that is important to know so that when we then tell it that we're going to use longitude and latitude, they're spelled the same way they are in those columns. And we're setting the coordinate reference system to 4326, and then it's making a map. All right. The next thing we do is we want to add our data. So what we're going to do is we're going to add this for pop-ups, and I'll show you that in a second. I want to make sure I've got the other stuff in there. We have ST longitude and latitude, and we have something else in there. Sites, false, coordinates, and that's just me telling myself it's defined that way. So when we come in here, if we add circle markers, then if we run everything, there's an error unexpected. Where did that come from? Else something. This and this and this. There's something wrong with that code there. Let me go back and see. Where did I pick that up? There is indeed an extra one of those that does not belong there, as far as I know. I don't see it anywhere. That's one of the things you have to be very careful of, is to make sure your brackets and all are correct. So in this code, this has got to be wrong. Now let's try it. I expected else. Expected token else. It's because there's no if. Something else has gone wrong in this piece of the code. Convert to FS object. Again, this is where I would turn and ask ChatGPT, why am I getting an error message here? And it says, if file exists, an else statement followed an if statement. Yeah, there's no if statement. Else is not needed. Fix, remove else. Alright, so we don't need the else. So get rid of that and run it. And then it says it's missing latitude. Add circles. And circles is supposed to be part of. Absolutely. So the add circles does not belong here. This part here belongs in leaflet. So we've added tiles, we've set the view, and then we need to add circles. And let's see if that fixes it. Can't find the function M. Alright, function M is here, defined as leaflet. Where in M dot? Alright, so again, that's good. Okay, this, and then it's not attached to the leaflet pipeline. It's written separately after set view outside the leaflet pipeline. So move it inside the leaflet pipeline. Leaflet. Add circles before we get to set view. Very good. Alright, so add circles goes add tiles, then add circles. Let's try that. There we go. And so we do have a circle there at the Ackreach Nursery and Jewish Cemetery. As we move out, we also have the Ackreach Women's Cooperative. And as we zoom farther out, we have path from Semiramis. We have the Path Menara Wall. We've got the Hotel Semiramis where we stayed. You can see the swimming pool that we swam in right there. It was cold in November. The Water Museum is up here. Right. So that is tremendous, this ability to put these data markers in, and even to go up here. And that university in Tangier I was telling you about is somewhere near here, Ibn Tufayl University, as we come in here. Absolutely gorgeous. All right, so how did we do that? We added circles, that's what these little round things are, and then we said the data is equal to sites, which is what we picked up here from the HAF sites column, and we made a variable called sites that we defined as the HAF sites column. That column, if you recall, in HAF sites, the column was called village. You can see it down here. So we have village as one of the columns in HAF sites. HAF sites is the name of the CSV file. That's the name of this file here. And one of those columns is called village. So what we're telling it in here is to pull the pop-up, and this tilde here from this sign means pull the data from the column village. In a group called sites, the data is from sites, and the color will be blue. We can certainly change that if we like. We can make it red, and we can make the radius bigger. We can make the radius 200 if we like, and then rerun this. And as you can see now, the radius is larger, and these show up on the map a little better. Here's Agadir, doesn't show in there, and here is the HAF study area, and over here is Ben Guerir. Right? But you can't really zoom in on this well, and you can't measure stuff. So there's just a little bit more we want to do with this code to make it really pop out. And what we would do with this code for that is we would add measurement tool and mouse coordinates. So it would be this. And let's put this in for the set. So we're adding measurement tool, we're adding mouse coordinates, we're adding layers control so that we can toggle between the satellite view and the streets view. We can overlay groups called sites, and then we can control those options. So now when we run this, we get a new map. Oh, that didn't work. Add mouse coordinates. Could not find a function. Why? Why not? Let me look at my code here. See what I did. No, it should be working. That should be working. So what's wrong? Add layer control, add measurements. It crashed at add mouse coordinates. And I'm going to ask ChatGPT. Not find function. So, shoot, I didn't grab all of it too. Oops. Let me go back and say, okay, this yielded could not find, what couldn't it find? Could not find function. So take your errors and go and give them to chat. This yielded, and chat tells us it's not part of leaflet, it's from the leaf_m package. Oh, okay. So we're going to have to go back in and add another package. So let's go after leaflet, install package. I can either do it this way, I can either say install package leaf_m, or I can just bring it in here and put a comma, like that. But for now, as that'll be in my setup, I can just run it without running the whole thing and install that package. Oops, I can say install package. Where is it? Install.packages. There it is. Install.package leaf m. That has to be in quotes. Leaf m. And it'll make me run this again. We'll restart the R session. There we go. And then we have to put it in the library to check it and say library leaf m. It's got to be called. And now, when I run this, I hope, error in set view. Argument map is missing with no default. What? Where's my set view? Why is an argument missing? Anyway, a lot of times when you're adding all this stuff in, you're going to get these crazy error messages. So EFM package was missing. EFM was missing. I ran it and got the error. Must be part of leaflet, so it's been misplaced. Under leaflet, add measure, set view, stay the map, move inside the chain. So it's missing that chain function. Do you see this function here? That is what is missing. So whenever you're doing something like this, there has to be a chain, and I must have messed it up. This thing here has to be there to chain it all together. So if I put this in here, now it should be within the chain, and we should not get the error. There we go. And now look, street shows up, satellite shows up, sites go on and off. Measuring tool, streets is not showing up. Measuring tool you can use to create a new measurement to go from here to the other place, and you can see 0.9 miles. So if we went to the sites, if we wanted to go from this cemetery to the women's cooperative there, then it's 0.67 miles. So that's pretty cool. But why streets isn't showing up, I do not know. So the very last thing we have to do is ask it the whole code. Okay, things are working now, but streets doesn't toggle. Only satellite. Why? And go like this. Oops, not that. I'll take the whole code. And there must be something I just did wrong. Streets is a base group, but you never actually added a layer for streets in the leaflet chain. Currently the code only has this one, no streets layer. Corrected code. This is where it would be. Streets was listed in add layers control. We were actually added add layers. So I must uncomment that. I'm sure that that's the issue. Rather than redoing the code, it must be that when I come up here and I want to do streets, it's this one here, Cardo B. So if I uncomment that and then run it now, still didn't work. Oh, yes, it did. So there's streets. Okay, excellent. Streets shows up. and satellite goes over it. Street shows up, satellite goes over it. Perfect. So that's what was, well, that's what was wrong with it. So now we have a good piece of code, and we can say, well, if I want to measure from the distance from that university there, which is into a file, down to Agadir, which is there, then I can hit measure, create a new measurement, and I go from there all the way down to there. Oops. So go from here. Funny, it's not. It's doing some weird stuff. But it's supposed to work. Maybe it's not working because it's too big an area. Let's see if we do a measurement from here to there. Yeah, it works on a small scale, but it doesn't work on a big scale. You can get an area as well, an area of acres. So that is pretty cool. Yeah. All right, so that code is actually working. And since that code is working, we're going to copy that code. We're going to save this. And we're going to give you another version of it. And so I'll come in and final code should look like this. Or like this with extra points added. So we've got that. And that one I also want to bring in and create a new tab and paste that in and save this as HAF project sites code for basic mapping. And then I'm going to come in here for you. That was the code with basic. It doesn't have extra points in it. So let's go back up to modules and let's add one more code for basic mapping. Let's add in a file, create a file, choose this one here, add the item. All right, so you have this now to work with. And so if you just came in without blundering through everything that I did, you should be able to just grab this up to there. Maybe I'll just have to control A. No, can't do that. That selects even the page there. So maybe what you'd want to do is open it up like this, and then control A, and then grab it. So you have this code, and then if you were to come in here and make a new file, a new R script, and let's erase this and erase this, clear it up. And you were just able to paste this in and select it all and run it, you get that. I want to change, I don't like the red actually, I think I want to use a yellow. And I don't want it to be radius of 200, I want it to be back to 100. So you can work with that. But now you have these sites. Street is not working. And why did we figure that was? Because we didn't comment that out. So that's what we should be actually using. Let's try that. There we go. You have to click off it and then click on it. That's what it should be. So let's copy that now. Paste that into here. Save it as Sites for code mapping. See that and replace that. And I need to go back in and get rid of this. Let's delete that. Remove. And put it in again. Yeah. Place. All right. So this one here should work to our satisfaction. And it's just taking forever. Why? And I don't know if it's the internet that's slow or. There we go. All right. And that really messes up if you try to do it from there. And my computer is really slow. Basic mapping. There's this. But you could go down and do it like that. You gotta get down to that M. X. Okay, copy that. Back into R. And paste that in. Erase this. Erase this. Rerun it. Unexpected what? If file exists. Sometimes you're going to get these really wacky problems. Unexpected double slash in if file exists. That shouldn't be there. It's that stupid little thing there. Let's try it now. CSV file was not found. Check again. If file exists. Oh, it's missing a darn. It's missing that. It's a quotation mark. And then there's an unexpected symbol. So this is why you don't want to go from the. You don't want to go from here because it gives all sorts of weird symbols. What you want to do is click on this and then open this up, and then you can Control A and copy, and then by golly, it should run, and it does. Streets, satellites, go back to streets, go to arcs, measure the distance between the cemetery and the women's cooperative. Here, create a new measurement, select cemetery, go down the street, and area. Can't really move these things around, so maybe should be able to go like this and like this, like this. No, I guess that's funny. The measurements are really weird. So we go from here to there, and we know that it's about a quarter of a mile. And if we want to know the whole area of the village, then we can go like that. That's about it. And then finish the measurement. And then you get that. And you can center on this area. Cool. And delete. So it's as good as it is for now. And I hope that you'll work with it. And it's gets easier as you go along, but of course you have to make sure, like with any coding, that you don't make any mistakes. And that's what we saw when we were coming off of the Canvas site. When we try to copy, it's going to put in weird symbols just to get over this page break from here to here. So yeah, download it through clicking on text and then grab it from there, and then you can put it in. And then you can go through the book and look at the details that I put in of step-by-step stuff, so you can begin to understand what it means. And then ask ChatGPT whenever you have a problem, because it really lays it out for you and it'll help fix stuff. Okay? So happy using R for QGIS. This is the first time I've tried to explain it, so I'm just learning it myself. And I'll keep making tutorials as I learn more and get more comfortable and more fluid with it. All right. Thanks a lot.